All right, now this is the Master Block of Time, Part 2. Now, what I'm going to talk about in this one, I mentioned a long time ago that Lucy, the special reptile, who's like nature really, has a highest extent of two massive plates pretty much connected to each other almost, joined. They don't have to be though, they can separate pretty far, but they usually stay at that position. What does that mean? Well, you might think the high standard for Lucy is sex. Well, no, it's far, they're very powerful. So powerful, you can't believe what power is. You can't believe what power is. Power will scare people. Like if you watch a movie, like The Devil's Advocate, you'll see what power is. You watch also with Pacino. You watch Scarface. You see what other kind of power is. All different kinds of power. You won't believe power. You won't believe power. Power will crack you right up. It's a complicated thing of why too. Of why. The whole thing has been, and this is still in the massive block of time, by the way. It's all we can know. The problem is this. What does that show, really? And it's also beyond the massive block of time, because the highest extents can get beyond the massive block of time. They really can. The problem is that is the truth, though. But the massive block of time is it just helps. It helps. Now revolution's highest extent is complicated. It's kind of like design patterns of things that can't be understood really. Revolutions is like a collage, but you're not going to believe that. Not art though. It's kind of like eclectic. But you can't understand revolutions that easily. But what his highest extent, his hierarchy, it kind of looks like levels like this, like levels going up and down like this, close together too. That's a complicated. Many levels could be many levels. You don't want to get there. That's complicated. But check this out. Check this out. The thing of people are funny. My highest extent is like Lucy's. See, I'm evolution. I'm like evolution. I'm not in the highest extent category though. I'm in the much lower extent category. But for me, personally, too, it's the symmetry of it. My highest extent for me is the same thing like as Lucy, like two giants, massive powers. Reptilian too. And it's like the same sexual context, but not really about that. I deal with two. It's complicated. Now, why? And then in the massive highest extent, the same thing. And then they are like, not plates. They're like this, like this. My highest extent is like this, really, but sexually. That it's like an enigma and a paradox. You won't believe that. Usually this means, bring it on. It's not about bring it on, but see evolution there? Bring it on. It just keeps on evolving things. You won't believe that. And then going to like the Sphinx, right? Its highest extent will crack you up. I know you're interested in the Sphinx, but the Sphinx never talks about it. But the Sphinx of Egypt is very interesting. I mentioned him briefly. It's almost like it just keeps on going, but what is it really? It's really 10. 10 individuals in anything. That's what will crack you up about the Sphinx. But the illusion of it is it keeps on going. So he deals with what? No, the Sphinx deals with what? But there are different 10s for things. So the Sphinx is like power, really, power. But you're not going to believe that power. Yeah, that it's obvious too. It's obvious. You're not going to believe power. It'll crack you up. And then like the funny thing about other highest extents, there can be conspiracies. The highest extent too. Extents to deal with conspiracies are funny. That will crack you up really. Now, you're not going to, the human extents to deal with it, it'll crack you up with how many, you know how many that is too? Usually about 4, honestly, in the conspiracy. 4. The problem is it gets so complicated that you don't want to know why. But it does make sense still. It is intrinsic too. It follows a definite reality too. A definite reality. The problem is when you have so many highest extents, what do you think is going to happen? 8,000 of them. But there's a lot more people, so all right, they group together. People can be in the same category a lot, but you're not going to believe the complexity. Now I know why I have an all-spirit problem. I know why I'm awake to Kundalini this way. I know a lot of stuff. I know a lot of stuff of why for me. Okay, the problem is this. At the extent level, it's not just Jesus. Jesus, do you know what Jesus is? I want to mention Jesus too, since I mentioned the religious figure of the Sphinx. The Jesus is his highest extent is the 12 apostles. Yeah, with Judas in it and everything. You're not going to believe Da Vinci painted the Last Supper. That's Jesus' highest extent. No, for him though, and also in his major highest extent, it's like 12. Yeah, you're not going to believe that. You're not going to believe the complexity of extents. People have to start understanding their extent, their hierarchies, because at the hierarchy you'll gain perspective of why your life is like it now.